welcome to Happy New You. A while ago, a good friend of mine was lamenting about the mistakes she had made in her life and the poor choices that she had made that led her to her current state of affairs. It's too bad you can't change your past, she lamented woefully. Not true, I replied. Your past, present, and future are dictated by your feelings about them. Being content with your current state of your life or optimistic about your future is a matter of personal choice. The same holds true regarding your thinking about your past. You can consider your past as a form of punishment or an education. I maintain that in any given moment, you can choose to change your thinking and steer your life in a different direction. So too can you choose to change your thinking about the past. In essence, you are changing history within your mind. How is that possible? Isn't the past fixed and unalterable? Well, not necessarily. In order for a person to alter his past, he has to first recognize that an individual's life is simply a culmination of all the choices that he has made along the way. None of us got to where we happen to be by pure chance. Choices and consequences, actions and the effect of those actions have made us who we are at this very moment. You may ask, is my current situation a result of a bad decision I made somewhere along the line? Well, yes and no. The choices you have made put you where you are, but not all are considered bad ones. A choice is neither good nor bad, right or wrong. It's simply a decision you make. We tend to view the results of those decisions as negative or positive, depending on the outcome. Either immediately when we say, whoops, so sorry, I shouldn't have done that, or in hindsight, and we label them accordingly. The choices that we agree with are considered the good ones. The choices we do not approve of are the bad ones. We cannot change what we have done in the past. We can change how we feel about it. In the film Back to the Future, Michael J. Fox, starring as Marty McFly, goes back in time in a souped-up DeLorean automobile that has been modified to be a time machine by Christopher Lloyd's character, Doc Brown. Marty finds that fixing the past is not so easy a task, and many times his attempts to do the right thing end up in disaster. What if you could travel back in time and fix something that went wrong in your life, or something bad that happened to a member of your family? As with so many time travel scenarios in books, film, and television programs, when the hero goes back to change something, usually something else happens as a result. This is what is commonly known as chaos theory. The premise is that a small, seemingly insignificant change may cause a catastrophic effect elsewhere. This phenomenon is also defined as the butterfly effect. The term butterfly effect is associated with the work of Edward Lorenz. It is derived from the metaphorical example that a tornado's formation and the path it had taken was influenced by minor agitation, such as a distant butterfly flapping its wings several weeks earlier. The butterfly effect is often cited by science fiction writers when discussing the possibility of time travel. If you were to go back in time and change one tiny, seemingly insignificant event, it may have disastrous repercussions in the ensuing timeline. In a Star Trek episode, The City on the Edge of Forever, Captain Kirk goes back in time and prevents Joan Collins' character from crossing the street. That simple act changed future events that had affected the entire world. With the example of Marty McFly in the original Back to the Future movie, Marty has a chance meeting with his would-be mother, and subsequently his parents never meet. As a result, Marty was never born. It's difficult to look back on your life and pinpoint the exact moment or the exact decision that became a significant turning point. Perhaps you accepted a job offer that steered your life in the direction it is now. But was that moment the key? Maybe it was months or even years earlier when you made the decision that led you in the direction to where the time and place of that job offer was indeed possible. As you know, I'm currently the host of the television program Happy New You, and the formation of the program wasn't based on one single decision. I had to choose to move to Northwest Arkansas for that to be possible. I chose to write inspirational messages and to write a book about them. I wrote original songs and I performed them on this show. But to do that, I had to make the decision many years ago to learn how to play the guitar. The list goes on and on. As I said earlier, our lives are a culmination of all the choices we have made along life's journey. Have you ever looked upon a past event and discovered that it was actually a blessing in disguise? What you deemed a disaster turned out to be a good thing after all. I recall how I abruptly left my job of over 14 years and all the anger and resentment I felt at that moment. Looking back, choosing to leave that position was one of the smartest decisions I'd ever made. In essence, I rewrote my personal history and labeled a negative experience as a positive one. Many times, bad situations are placed in our lives to teach us things that we need to learn. There's an old saying, knowledge comes from learning from the mistakes other people have made, and wisdom comes from learning from the mistakes that we make ourselves. All of us must blunder from time to time so that we may learn lessons we may not otherwise experience. Things you may have done in error may actually be the universe's way of teaching you a lesson. I recall the song My Way, where Frank Sinatra sings, "Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention." We all make mistakes. It's simply a condition of the human experience. We can accept our mistakes and learn from them, or we can continually revisit them and beat ourselves up over and over again. I remember some of the mistakes I made when I was younger, and I think to myself, that was really stupid. It's natural to revisit some of the experiences we had in the past and berate ourselves for not doing the right thing. However, reminding ourselves of those poor choices may prevent us from making the same mistakes again. You've heard the old expression, once bitten, twice shy. We can learn from our mistakes, and that in itself is a positive thing as well. The best we can hope for is to do the best we can do right now, here in the present. Do what needs to be done, say what needs to be said, and hope for the best possible outcome. Looking back on some of the mistakes that you regret doing, did you learn something? Are you wiser because of it? Have you told others not to make the same mistakes you made? If you or someone else profited by the knowledge gained by your error, then perhaps some good came out of it after all. You cannot change those choices that you've made, but you can view the results in a new light. You can see the outcome differently. Your bad experiences are no longer negative ones, but educational ones. Not hurtful, punishing events, but many opportunities for learning along your life's journey. And in seeing them as such, you can effectively rewrite your own history. As I often mention on this program, living a happier life is a choice that you make. Just as you can rewrite your past in turning those mistakes and poor decisions into learning experiences, you can choose right now to live the life you already have with more zest, excitement, and joy. You can choose to live it up. Don't be so down, don't be so sad. Stop thinking life is oh so bad. We're here to cheer, we're here to sing, we're here to savor everything. This is your life, and you can have it all. Come join the parade. Can you hear the trumpets call? Live it up. Come live it up. Yeah, live it up. Yeah, live it up. Nobody ever said that life is dubious trial. It's okay to let your face crack a smile and live it up. Come on, live it up. Put aside the world's material things. Celebrate each moment that life's adventure brings and live it up. Come on, live it up. Life should have joy, life should have fun. No need to go around scowling at everyone. Get up and shout, get up and dance. This is your only life, there's no second chance. That zeal and zest for life, it sizzles when it's hot. So grab each moment with both hands and give it all you got and give it up. Come on, live it up. Come on, give it up. Come on, live it up. Nobody ever said that life's to be a trial. It's okay to let your face crack a smile and live it it up. Come on, live it up. I said, live it up. Come on, live it up. Yeah. We'll be right back after these announcements. Hello, I'm Mike Cleary, and welcome back to Happy New You. My wife Sharon and I went to a 12th night party at a friend's house in January. The 12th night observation is typically held on January 5th or 6th, depending on what day you begin on. Some estimates place the starting date as December 25th, Christmas Day, while others count forward from the day after Christmas. And the 12th night is the Christian observation of when the Magi arrived in Bethlehem at the manger to offer gifts to the baby Jesus. Well, naturally, when I was invited to my friend's party, I imagined we would be singing Christmas carols, such as We Three Kings and The First Noel and I Saw Three Ships and songs like that. However, I decided to explore the internet before we went, just to be sure I had my facts right. That day also signifies the end of the Christmas season, when you're supposed to take down and stow away your holiday decorations. It's considered unlucky to keep them up past the 12th night. Sharon and I took ours down on New Year's Day, so we were safe on that count. However, that's not always the case with us. We've been known to leave our Christmas tree up until Valentine's Day. I discovered on my internet search that the 12th night celebration also had ties to Mardi Gras. Lots of New Orleans jazz and spicy gumbo and king cake. So, was this party going to focus on Mardi Gras as well? Should we dress up in purple robes and green peacock feathers? Not exactly the proper wardrobe for a Christmas carol sing-along. As it turned out, the party was a combination of both aspects of the observance. There was a display of the Magi present, while Louis Armstrong played a jazz rendition of When the Saints Go Marching In on the stereo. Sharon and I were not familiar with many of the attendees beside our host. No matter. We're always adept at mingling in a crowd. Several people recognize me from singing at a local piano bar. I've been known to do a fairly passable Elvis Presley or Neil Diamond impersonation on occasion. But the point I intend to make from this story is that you don't have to be with friends to enjoy yourself. Don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone and meet some new people. The two familiar adages that come to my mind are, strangers are only friends that we haven't met. And the best way to make a friend is to be a friend. Sharon and I had a great time at that party, and we met a lot of new folks. And we learned that it's possible to combine and celebrate two traditions at once. In the car on the way home, Sharon and I discussed how many of our friends and acquaintances would never attend a public or private function where they didn't know everyone. Sharon and I hosted a housewarming party at our home the previous December. Many of the people we invited respectfully declined because they said they didn't know anybody but us. Sharon's response was, well, how do you get to know someone if you don't meet them? Why would people be afraid of socializing with strangers? Is it from fear of being judged? There's an old saying, friends don't judge you. If they do, they're not your friends. Will Rogers quipped, "I never met a man I didn't like." Well, I probably would guess that there were actually a few men he truly didn't like, but he simply hadn't met them yet. I've discovered a good icebreaker for first-time encounters. When you meet someone for the first time, mention something about their wardrobe or their hairstyle or some other interesting feature. "That's an interesting necklace you have on," or "I love your hairstyle." There's always something about a person you can compliment about. A sincere comment is a great conversation starter, and it gives you the opportunity to establish a rapport, perhaps even start a friendship. On October 15th, 1860, 11-year-old Grace Biddle wrote to then President candidate Abraham Lincoln a letter inviting him to grow a beard. Her letter said, "All the ladies like whiskers, and they would tease their husbands to vote for you, and then you would be president." Lincoln responded to the young Miss Biddle's letter, saying, "Your very agreeable letter of the 15th is received. As to the whiskers, having never worn any, do you not think people would call it a silly affectation if I were to begin it now?" Abe Lincoln began to grow his famous beard after the exchange of letters, and actually met Grace when he was taking a train from Illinois to Washington, D.C. for his inauguration in February of 1861. Stopping in her hometown of Westfield, New York, Lincoln asked to meet the girl, and years later she recalled, "He climbed down and sat down with me on the edge of the station platform. The man said, 'Gracie, look at my whiskers. I have been growing them for you.'" A kind and thoughtful word can be the beginning of a long-time friendship. Folks can often be unkind to one another, and though I've found that most of the time they don't mean to, they may be having a bad day and need to find a convenient target in order to vent their frustrations. It doesn't make it any easier for those of us who happen to be the recipients of negativity. It can hurt our feelings, sometimes for many days or many years afterward. The other day, I was ruminating about geodes. You know what geodes are? Well, simply put, geodes are nothing but rocks. Not very impressive to look at. You probably wouldn't want to have them decorating your rock garden or displaying them on a shelf for folks to see. However, when you look inside one, you see something extraordinary and magical. Geodes look like ordinary stones on the outside, but are filled with crystals on the inside. I think that's a good metaphor for how we should regard one another. People are often like geodes, perhaps a little rough on the outside, but are beautiful on the inside. Too many times we judge people by their appearances. We only see the outside, and we don't acknowledge the beautiful crystals on the inside. There's an old urban legend about how two country hicks came to Harvard University and wanted to talk with the president. A haughty secretary resisted the couple and made them wait for hours. In exasperation, the secretary finally asked the president to see the visitors, which he did, if for no other reason than to get rid of them. The couple told him their son had attended Harvard for a year, and he had loved it, but he had been killed in an accident, and they wanted to build a memorial to him. The president discouraged them, saying that They couldn't erect a memorial to every student who had died. The couple said they were thinking of donating for an entire building in their son's honor. The president discouraged them and mentioned how much all of the buildings at Harvard were worth. The lady commented to her husband that, well, if that was all it took to build a university, they could construct one of their own. So, Mr. and Mrs. Leland Stanford went to Palo Alto, California, and built a school of their own, Stanford University, in honor of their son. Appearances can be deceiving. For many years, billionaire Sam Walton drove his old pickup truck around town and routinely wore casual work clothes. Folks around his hometown of Bentonville, Arkansas would often see Sam pumping his own gas at the filling station. Not exactly the typical stereotype for one of the richest men in the world. Looks can be deceiving. Like geodes, folks can have a surprising beauty and magic on the inside. Or, if you're from my generation, you can compare people to Cracker Jack. Cracker Jack is a small cardboard box with a sailor boy and his dog on the outside. And it's filled with caramel corn and peanuts. But in every box, there's a surprise toy inside. So you can say that folks are like Cracker Jack. Each person has a surprise inside. I suppose, in the final analysis, folks are just folks, regardless of where they live, what their lifestyle is, how they dress, how they talk, and what they believe. People generally want to be accepted by others. So, perhaps the next time you're invited to a get-together where you don't know anybody, get in there and socialize and make it an opportunity to meet new friends. Sometimes I catch myself getting frustrated and judgmental toward people. And I have to tell myself that, folks are just folks. My wife Sharon often reminds me that we were going to encounter difficult people and tough situations from time to time. There are potholes and detours along our journey. Well, that's just life. Don't take the world so seriously and lighten up. Don't make life so serious. What's it gonna hurt to crack a smile? Don't get all delirious, 'cause it's okay to laugh once in a while. Remember, we were children having fun as girls and boys. Now that we're all grown up, we can still make joyful noise. Don't make life so serious. Lighten up, lighten up, lighten up. We know that life has ups and downs. You're gonna have some bad times, I admit. Don't go through life with that big frown. There's so much more worth living for than sinking in the pit. So don't make life so serious. Life can get you down, I agree. Don't take life so serious, or more correctly, take it seriously. This isn't meant to scare you, no one makes it out alive. So add a little humor as you struggle and you strive. And don't make life so serious. Lighten up, lighten up, lighten up. We know that life has ups and downs. You're gonna have some bad times, I admit. Don't go through life with that big frown. There's so much more worth living for than sinking in the pit. So don't make life so serious. Lighten up, lighten up, lighten up. Lighten up, lighten up, lighten up. I'm Mike Cleary. Thank you for joining me for Happy New You, and have a fabulous day.